Today, many people hesitate to buy a property in the name of their wife just because they fear that if in future there is any matrimonial dispute, the whole property will be regarded as Stridhan and it will be transferred to the wife. The whole ownership will be of the wife. But what if I tell you, even if the husband has purchased the property in the name of his wife, still he can reclaim it back if there is any matrimonial dispute or at any other time, and the wife will be bound in law to transfer the property back to the husband. How? So this can be made possible through the law, that is the Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act 1988. In short, we will say it the Benami Act. So Benami property is the property which is purchased by one person in the name of another person. For example, a person has purchased a property in the name of his servant. So the question arises, can the servant claim the ownership of the property just because it is in his name? The answer is no, because the court will determine whether the property is a genuine purchase or a Benami transaction. For this, court will see who actually made the payment, and on the basis of that, the ownership will be determined. So the person who actually made the payment of the property will be recognized as the real owner, and that real owner will be punished under the provisions of Benami Act, because this whole transaction, this whole Benami transaction of purchasing the property in someone else's name is illegal and is punishable with rigorous imprisonment which may extend to 7 years. Further, the property, that Benami property, will also be confiscated by the government, and above that the fine has also to be paid, which may extend up to 25% of the market value of that Benami property. Moreover, there is one more prohibition. Even if the person who is the real owner, who really made the payment of the property, has all the evidences that he is the rightful owner, still in law he has no right to claim the property back from the court. Now this is a general rule, but there are exceptions to it. One of the exceptions is that a person can purchase a property in the name of his spouse. That is, in simple words, a husband can purchase the property in the name of his wife. And this exception is given under section 2 subsection 9 clause A subclause 3 of the Benami Act. Now let us examine what happens when a husband purchases a property in wife's name and later seeks to reclaim it through court. So the general rule says he cannot claim it even if he has all the evidences of purchase. But because husband's purchasing of property in wife's name is an exception, is a permissible exception under the Benami Act, therefore husband can make a claim. Number one, at the time of claim in court, the question will arise, can the wife claim the property just because the property is in her name? For this, the court will see whether that property is a Benami transaction or a genuine purchase. Who has made the payment? Has the wife made the payment? No. Therefore, wife is the owner just for the namesake in the documents. And the person who has actually made the payment, that is the husband, will be identified as the real owner by the court. Now, the general rule says the real owner has to be punished for up to 7 years of rigorous imprisonment, plus the confiscation of property will be there, plus the fine has to be paid. But this general rule does not apply here, because purchasing the property in the wife's name is a permissible exception under the Benami Act. So the result will be that the husband will be declared the rightful owner of the property will be transferred back to him, and there will be no punishment, no legal consequences on the husband. And this has happened in various cases. One of the well-known case is Nand Kishore Mehra versus Srimati Sushila Mehra. This is a Supreme Court case. In this case, husband claimed the property, stating he has actually made the payment and purchased the property in the name of wife. The wife claimed that she is the owner because the property is in her name, but could not establish in the court that how she actually afforded that property, how she made the payment, what were the sources of the income. She could not establish that. And on the other side, husband established and husband proved that he was actually the person who actually made the payment and purchased the property in the name of wife. Therefore, ultimately, the Supreme Court held that the husband is the rightful owner of the property and wife is just the name lender. Therefore, the property was transferred back to the husband. So this exception suggests that the husband can easily reclaim the property, the Benami property which they have purchased in the name of their wife. And this process seemed to be very straightforward process. But in reality, it is not very simple. The law is complex, although this exception exists, but it is also true that there are various exceptions to this exception. In several cases, even if the husband has proven that they are the rightful owners of the property, they have actually purchased the property and wife is just for the namesake, still the courts have ruled various times in the favor of the wife, declaring the wife as the rightful owner. This means that there were certain legal arguments which were raised by the wives in such circumstances that prevented the transfer of the property to the husband. So what arguments could be raised by the wives in such cases has also to be understood and kept in mind, because the half knowledge is very dangerous. So in the next video, we will discuss these legal aspects in detail, which will be crucially important for both husbands and wives. This is because husband will understand the legal challenges in reclaiming back the Benami property they have purchased in the name of the wife. On the other hand, the wife will understand the strategical defenses, the legal defenses they can make in genuine cases. So do subscribe this channel so that the video reaches you. We'll meet you in that video. Thank you very much.